Good morning, y'all. I'm Evan Turi, the Mayor Pro Tempore here in Buda. That's the end of the Latin lesson. There will be no more of that. I don't think we'll have any of that for the rest of the time here today. First of all, thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for all that you do for Buda. The success of your businesses, the owners, the workforce here in Buda is the engine for the sustainability of this city. It's the engine for the growth of this city. It's the growth in the right way with local jobs and resources. I have a business that I co-own down on Robert S. Light called Indie Energy, and my commute is 4 minutes. It is incredible. It's the dream. I feel bad about it sometimes. But it's really the dream, and it's local businesses that grow the city right and grow the city well as it addresses so many issues. Like local businesses address a lot of issues. Bad traffic on the roads, local jobs means less people getting on the highway and jamming it up. Local jobs means sales tax. So property taxes are high, local jobs, local businesses address that with sales tax and take a big chunk of what we need to run this city. It offsets those costs. So thank y'all for your part in creating a Buda where we can eat and work and play in Buda. So first of all, thank you to the businesses. Thank you to Chamber President John Hatch. Listing everywhere that John serves would take too long, so last night the City Council wanted to give you a reward, John, and so we put you on another committee. I joke, but those are really those are places where y'all, where citizens, where partners, where people around the city of Buda, the Buda area, can influence and can set the course for the future of Buda. So thank you for those folks that serve on those committees. Thank you, Mr. Hatch. And also there's applications open right now for several boards and committees that we still need folks for. John's been an ever-present source of ideas and support for all things Buda area businesses. I think about things like during the pandemic, when a lot of businesses were suffering, in particular restaurants were struggling, and y'all drove the Eat Local 2 times per week campaign. Have y'all seen this campaign on Facebook? Pictures and just a simple 2 fingers saying Eat Local 2 times a week, and things like this that the Chamber has driven for the good of the city. We thank y'all. Now to the main event. I have the distinct honor of introducing Mayor Urbanovsky. Over the years of working alongside Mayor, here's some things that I've observed. First, one thing, he is a big fan of Texas football. A&M, Texas A&M football, agricultural and mechanical. I had it written right here. Sorry, Texas A&M football. More seriously, he is a man full of candor, and he's honest, and really cuts to the matter at hand, cuts to what really impacts, what is really the brass tacks of each issue. He'll tell you that one of his least favorite things is speaking engagements like this. I mean, he likes speaking to y'all, but having a long speech, public speaking, a whole bunch of presentation material is not his favorite thing, but I think what you'll see in that is this candor, is this cutting to the actual matter at hand. It's really what you want in a mayor, is somebody who looks at what really moves the needle, less about flair and not always, public speaking being your favorite. Like, he cuts to what really moves the needle for the city of Buda. It's what you want in a mayor. He's also a man of great character and humility. It's one of my favorite qualities in any leader, one of my favorite in Lee. He's not out there sort of boasting and self-aggrandizing. He's just quietly, calmly working every day for the betterment of Buda. Just a couple months ago, we were down in San Antonio for a conference, and I got to spend some time with the mayor. As we were about to leave the conference, mayor goes to his truck to head home, and the truck's not there. And he spends a little while saying, maybe I parked it on this level, maybe on this level, could not find his truck, figures out the truck's been stolen out of the Hyatt in San Antonio, like right there by the Riverwalk. Truck's been stolen. And so he gets on the horn, calls the police, talks to the hotel folks, see if there's any video and this and that. And the police take like it was an hour and a half or so to get over to the hotel and actually take a statement, walk through what's happened, check the video. And they apologized. Like, we were across town. We tried to get here pretty quick, but they didn't seem to be moving like that quick on it. They were probably busy day and everything, but it was some drudgery. It was a little bit dragging out, and they weren't really addressing it quickly. And I'm sitting next to the mayor, making sure he gets a ride home and everything. And once everything's kind of getting sorted, as they're talking, I need to go somewhere. I just got up and I said, "Thank you, Mayor Urbanovsky, for everything you do." And both police officers kind of stood up like this. They were like, "Oh, we're dealing with a mayor here." And I just had to throw it in because he wouldn't. He wouldn't say that. He wouldn't use that. He'll let you know if he's the mayor, if you want to know and things like that. But it's just not the way he operates. There's a humility, and that's one thing I very much appreciate you. So, Mayor Urbanovsky, I think you're the best of us to lead and represent the city of Buda. So with that, I give you Mayor Lee Urbanovsky.
Mr. Terry, you are too kind. Everything but the A&M jab. I liked it all. And for the record, I can't not tell you that Mr. Terry is our only Ivy League graduate. Only one I even know, but he's the only Ivy League graduate on council currently. So, all right. So, my first part of this is to kind of welcome everyone. So, with that, you've heard welcome from John. You've heard welcome from Evan. See if I can get my slides to work. Too far. All right. So welcome to the city address. I appreciate you all coming today. This is a large crowd. It's bigger than I've seen in the past, but thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed lunch. It might be the best part of today's presentation. Before I get too far into this, I would like to recognize my wife, Amy. She hates it when I do this. If everyone look back here. So Amy is a fifth grade teacher at Elm Grove Elementary School, and she hired a sub for this afternoon just to critique my work today. So, and I say that in jest, not really. She is my biggest fan, even when I don't deserve it. And I could not do this mayor thing and my full-time job without her help and her support. So, first of all, thank you. And I'm going to have to keep going back and forth. John mentioned the people on city council. I'm going to name them by name. We've heard from Evan Turi. Monica Davison is here. Lavanya Horn-Williams is here. Paul Dodgerow is here. Matt Smith and Terry Cummings are both also served with us on city council. And if you would please stand up if you are on the city council. I'd like everyone to see. I'm proud of this group. I am proud of what we have accomplished. And it's an honor for me to stand before you now and sit in the middle of city council at the dais and represent the city, but working with this group of professionals. And I would like to thank or recognize Matt Smith and Terry Cummings on their recent re-election. So, but they're not here. So, So the first thing I'm doing up here is talking about my introduction for our new city manager. What I have written here is it has been an eventful year, but we did not have a winter storm, and COVID has slowed down. But we did pass a bond. We tested out City Park, which I'll talk about in my presentation later. But we did hire a new city manager. So short of the budget that we do every single year, as far as setting the direction for the city, hiring the leader, the CEO of the building, I call him the CEO of the city, it's not something we took lightly. We went through a large search. We had almost 90 applicants turn in paperwork, and we had an interview process to try to find the perfect fit for the city of Buda. And we came back to somebody in-house. So with that, I'd like Micah to please come up. But Micah comes to us via Taylor. So Taylor before Samsung came. So back when Taylor was a small town and the Ducks were the biggest thing on Friday nights. His wife Mallory and their two children live in Buda. They've been here since 2017 when he came to be our assistant city manager then. He has an education at the best university in the state. That's Texas A&M. And he has a MPA from Texas State University. His career path brings him to Buda via Hutto, so he was at Hutto first. And with all of that, it is my honor to introduce our current city manager and our new city manager, Micah Grau.
Thank you, Mayor. And I think this is the largest crowd that I've had the opportunity to speak in front of as the new city manager. So congrats. Glad to have you all here today. I only have a few slides to speak on, and I really just wanted to introduce the City of Buda staff and to tell you some of the direction of where we're headed as an organization. First thing, I'm wondering where to point this thing. There we go. I want to introduce my team, and we have two assistant city managers here with the City of Buda. One is going to be brand new. She actually will start on November 28th, and that is Wendy Smith. Wendy is coming to us from a small city that is within the city of Austin called The Hills. But prior to that, she served the city of McAllen for about a decade and was city manager for the city of Edinburgh down in the valley. Her role as assistant city manager, she will be responsible for overseeing our capital projects and our bond program. So the mayor's going to be talking more about those today. Our development services department, as well as public works. And then our other assistant city manager is here somewhere, is Lauren Middleton Pratt. Lauren, would you stand up? Lauren has been with the city since 2019. She was a key instrumental employee in helping us get through the COVID pandemic and make sure that we kept as many people as we could safe here in the community of Buda. But she is overseeing our communications department, our destination services department, parks, library, and our IT department. For the rest of the city of Buda employees, I would ask that y'all also stand up at this time. Come on. Our directors are listed on the screen, so if you have a issue you want to talk about with Mike Beggs, our Public Works Director, he's right over there. You can grab him right after the lunch, or with our new city engineer, Angela Kennedy, she's here as well. But honestly, here in Buda, this is a very special, dedicated group of employees. I've never worked in an organization that has such dedicated employees, and you would probably expect to hear that from any city manager speaking before a crowd. But I mean that with all sincerity. I think we have a very special group here. They're all community and service focused, and I'm really excited about our opportunities for the city of Buda moving forward. You can see on the screen that we currently have 138 full-time employees. This number is actually higher now. We have 140 full-time employees as part of the fiscal year 23 budget. It does not include the fire department. If you live in Buda, you know that the Buda Fire is a separate entity, a separate taxing entity. So that is all made up of our, public works, police, parks, all of our dedicated public servants that we have with the city. And then I wanted to talk a little bit briefly about some of our internal initiatives. As we are coming out of the pandemic from COVID, it's important, and as a transition of a new city manager, it's important that we spend some time internally focused on our organization. We've grown very rapidly. When I came to the city in 2017, we were probably 115 employees. 5 years before that, we were probably 40 employees. So that shows you the rapid growth that we've had as an organization. But we're going to spend some time this year working on an organizational plan to make sure that we're on the right path, that our employees are bought in, and we're all moving cohesively in the same direction. One of the things that we're doing is creating employee teams. We're going to have teams that are focused on some things like employee wellness and safety, operational excellence, customer service, employee engagement and development, sustainability, community engagement, mobility, technology, emergency readiness, or just to name a few. We're also going to be very outward focused as an organization, so finding ways to be involved in the community, coming to chamber events, volunteering within the community. So as you have volunteer opportunities as a nonprofit or other things like that, come talk to us and let us know how we as a city can be involved in those. As I speak about nonprofits and volunteerism, I also want to plug that we're going to have a volunteer fair in January. So if you are a nonprofit that works with volunteer, or you need volunteer organizations for your nonprofit, come talk to us. We'd love to save you a spot to help you recruit some volunteers. Other things happening within the organization is we're shaking things up and doing some restructuring. One of the things, of course, that we hear quite a bit is about our development process. We've made some staffing changes, and we've actually reorganized that department too, where we've merged planning and engineering into one new development services department. The staff are listed here. And also the city council was very gracious and adding to our staff. We added 2 planner positions in our fiscal year 22 budget, 2 engineers in the fiscal year 22 budget, and an additional construction inspector. In fiscal year 23, we're out hiring right now for a new development navigator or a development project manager. So if you have anybody in mind that you think would be really good at working with our small businesses and our target industries of our economic development, have them come talk to us. Some other things that are coming up for the city are, we just opened up our new Welcome Center. The former library in downtown has been remodeled and repurposed to be a Welcome Center, so if you have a chance, go by and check out that space. City Council last night, as Mr. Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, assigned community representatives to serve on a comprehensive plan committee. This is a great planning effort that a city does every 5 to 10 years. Our last one was done in 2011. But this document will really set the future and tone for the city as we grow and set the expectations for what we want to look like in the next 15, 20, 25 years. As a component to that, we're also going to be updating our downtown plan. And as a growing city, we have quite a number of infrastructure projects. I counted them all up this morning, and we have 55 active capital projects that are in one form of development or another. Some of them may be in design, some of them may be just sitting in the wings waiting for staff time to be able to pick them up, but we have a tremendous number of projects, including the 2021 bonds that were approved by our voters last year. We have information out on the table, so if you have questions or want to learn more about our bond program, visit butabonds.com. But again, there's information out on the table, so I encourage you to grab some of that. With that, I'm going to hand it back over to Mayor Lee Urbanovsky. Thank you.
All right, you cannot have a State of the City address, you cannot have a city in today's world without regional collaboration. So my first slide tells the story that I am proud of our regional collaboration. I'm happy with our improved relationships with, you see 9 different organizations on this screen. Hayes CISD has already been recognized. I appreciate them coming tonight. I see my friend, Mayor Travis Mitchell from Kyle is here, so I can put those jokes back into or take those out of my presentation this evening. But we are not an island. City of Butte is not an island. We have to pay attention to what's happening around us and know what the others are doing, because it all does impact us. Maybe. One other thing before I get into the meat of the conversation here is I wanted to congratulate Representative Aaron Zwiener and Senators Donna Campbell and Senator Judith Zaffirini on their recent elections. We do have the 88th election legislative session starting soon. I think bills have already started to be filed, but on January 10th it officially kicks off. And what's important by that is 2017 was my first full year on council, and that was a legislative year, and I thought I had to read it all. And there's a lot of things that will happen in that period at the Capitol. And just from the numbers, there'll be 7,000 bills filed in that session coming up. That's just on average. 1,000 of those bills will pass, and about 250 of those will affect the city of Buda. Local government, local control, that's going to be the push that we continue to have. But it's a mad dash if anybody's ever been around the Capitol during during legislative session. And keeping abreast of what's going on is critical. And again, local control and maintaining the city autonomy is very, very important. So these are the hot topics for today's address. The quality of life, managing growth, which is an oxymoron almost, but fiscal responsibility, growing the economic pie, and protecting our assets. But my message today has been the same for a while, and I'm taking it from a friend of mine, but it says, protect what we have here in Buda while keeping Buda relevant. It sounds real simple. There's not much to it, but it means a lot. We have what we have while we all moved here, while we all still live here, and it is our goal to keep that, but then also taking advantage of where we are geographically on I-35 and in the state of Texas. So starting with population growth. Some of these slides you'll see over the next couple slides are similar to last year. Hays County is still number 3, the third fastest growing county in the United States. Buda is average household income is about $100,000. And as of now, we're pushing about 20,000 residents here in the city. The next slide is very similar as well as what you may have seen last year. Our growth rate is at about 6% per year. That's about 1,200 people every year come to Buda, or just over 100 people per month. And I think there's 160 seats here, so 3/4 of this room come every single month. At the bottom of this, that does amount to 6% annually, and we've had that for the several decades now going forward. And just because it's kind of been a buzz line in the past is the analogy as far as the exemptions for, sorry, I'm off myself here. So the buzz line from 2016 from my initial election was smart growth. And I've kind of changed the way that smart growth was a good idea at the time, but we've tried to move that over to intentional growth. Because if you're not planning ahead, you're not looking down the road, you're going to get run over. It is that simple. With that many people coming and all the things that we have happening in this area, you have to not only just say smart growth, but you have to plan for it going forward. So from a law enforcement standpoint, Micah mentioned that we have 26 sworn officers. I think we have a couple openings right now. If you know anybody who wants to come be a police officer in Buda, we are absolutely proud of our police department, and they are sitting over there mostly. But they were recently recognized as an accredited law enforcement agency. This process took about 3 years, and we are the only law enforcement agency in Hays County with this recognition. Something else that happened recently was we signed an agreement with Hays County in 2017 to join the Emergency Operations Center. So the Emergency Operations Center, it provides for more efficient service, better information sharing, and improved situation awareness. And you'll see what this really is. This is a call center primarily, but all of 911 calls come to that building, that place, that pod. And from that pod, they are all on the same operating system currently, and so they can see where all the assets are, where Hays County is, where Kyle PD is, where Buda is, all in the same setting at the same place. That does tremendous, has a tremendous impact on just the efficiency of the whole operations. So touching on financials a little bit, I have several pie charts, and you'll see. First of all, we had ARPA funds. So over 2021 and 2022, we did receive $4.2 million in ARPA funds. And staff has worked with City Council to allocate most of those funds toward what's allowable on the CIPs. And Micah talked about our CIPs. There's a lot of them out there. We have great ideas and things that we're working on. And this $4.2 million was very handy to add to that wish list. So from the overall operating revenues, big picture stuff, we have about $44 million in revenue plus about $55 million in bond dollars. That creates the whole picture of the pie. And general fund obviously makes the biggest piece of that. But I'm going to dig in a little deeper with this. So on the expenditure side, $102 million. Debt services amounts 12% of that, though. So as we take on debt, as we do bonds, there's always something to be mindful of, that there is a cost associated with bonds and there's a debt service associated to that. Digging a little deeper even. So this is the general fund. So on the, make sure I got the right side. On this side of the page, you can see where the money comes from. And you can see 54% of our general revenue comes from taxes. And Mr. Cherry talked about the businesses and the local businesses that do generate those taxes. That's 54% of our dollars that we spend comes directly from sales tax, which sales tax is somewhat contingent or somewhat, it's contingent upon the market and what the market does. And you see it on that same pie chart, if you can see it or not, only 15% come from property tax. On the other side, you can see where the expenditures go. So basic operations make about 30%, and then public safety make about 26%. And I'm gonna do a little deeper dive. So here's a bigger pie chart with same thing, general funds. So police is number 1, parks and rec is number 2, and street and drainage is number 3. So that is where we spend most of our dollars on the general fund standpoint. Now, sales tax. So this chart it has a lot of information on it. If you look at the dip, you see the dip in 2020, that is COVID. That steady incline that we saw coming and have seen coming for a long time, it took a dip in 2020 as a result of COVID. Now, this year, we're almost $12 million, and that's about 17% over what it was in 2021. So in spite of the recent turn down and some other things you've heard about, we finished the year 17% on sales tax where we were last year at the same time. And one other thing to note is the hotel tax. For the first time this year, hotel tax tipped over $1 million. So hot tax that we can spend on a bunch of different things, mostly from the events and the other things that we've done, encouraging people to come to Buda. That creates another revenue source that we can use to add things to the city. Again, I get into the details a little bit deeper than most people do, but this is what I call the value of the city. So in 2023, the city of Buda is worth $2.5 billion. That's up 16% from last year. And in 2020, it was below $2 billion. So it has jumped $300 million from last year. And also on this slide that I've started to lead to earlier, we have always had these exemptions. It's been in the paper recently that some local cities, some other area cities have added these over 65 and disabled exemptions, but Buta's always had the exemptions for disabled and over 65 as far as tax breaks. So this spreadsheet does a kind of a deeper dive into what the property tax looks like on an average house. So on a previous slide, I said average house was $460,000. This chart uses it at $440,000. The sales tax that we have in Buda, the property tax in Buda amounts to $1,500. That's $126 per month. And I used to use an analogy that I've been told that may be dating me if I continue to use this, but I used to say you pay more on your cable bill than you do on property tax to the city of Buda. But now most people have moved on to streaming services and other stuff, and so cable bills are like rotary phones. I think they are going, by the way. So there's your property tax distribution countywide. Buta's property tax makes about 15% of your property taxes. All right, so this is actually one of my favorite slides. So this shows that our 0.3423% is the lowest tax rate of any city in our area, with the exception of Dripping Springs, who does not have a fire department. So all of the full-service cities in our area, we have the lowest tax rate and have had the lowest tax rate for a very long time. And that's what I say. Until we got to hire a new city manager, the budget was the most important thing that we do. It's being a good steward of the tax dollars that the citizens have given us. A little more on taxes. So this chart here shows that how the property tax rate goes down as the evaluation goes up. So as I said, 17% per year, the sales tax goes down. The exception to that is a large bond package that we did in 2014, which you see the spike associated to that. We do not anticipate a spike from our bond package that we did last year, just because we're now bigger and it's not as big a percentage as it was then. So moving into residential growth. Yes. So according to Realtor.com, we are at $460,000 on an average home in the city of Buda. That's up about 15% from what it was last year. And you can see the comparison to the other counties. The housing market has slowed down a little bit. So I did have lunch yesterday with a concrete ready-mix company that does concrete for residential houses in Austin. And he mentioned they were down between 70 and 80% from where they were a year ago, as far as just number of slabs being generated on the ground. Another sign of that is there actually are for sale signs in my neighborhood now. Used to be houses were sold in hours, and now they are actually hanging out for a little bit longer. So there is an inventory that's new. More on numbers on residential development. The residential volume has stayed about the same. We had 2021, 2022, and looking back, our number of new residential permits have stayed pretty consistent. But looking forward, first of all, we've got the Colony at Cold Springs. I think everyone has heard about this one. It's a 530 home development coming online next year. It's on Old Black Colony Road in Cold Springs, and they are also building a bridge over Onion Creek for the city of Buda, along with some infrastructure and some trail systems. Under construction right now, you have the Porches of Dupree, which is a 17.4 acre townhome community, also on Old Black Colony. It's about 60 units that's under construction right now. Cali Kate is a 75 acre single family development that is back in development starting next year. It's on 967 going west. And one of my hottest topics, I get more questions about this than anyone else. I'd be remiss not to mention this. This drawing or this picture behind you only shows about half of what is potential. Overall, it's between a 2,500 and 2,800 home development on 967. And I'm going to pause on that and say that our job on council and my job as mayor is to do the best and get the best deal for Buda. And I thought Evan likes to quote some of these things, and that it boils down to that. That is our job. We are here to do the best we can and get the best deal for the citizens of Buda. And with all of that, I'll say that there has been progress toward an agreement on this project, but there's no deal reached. So we don't know if this is coming for sure. It's not a done deal, but we are working diligently to get the best deal for the city. So moving over to non-residential developments, we have a series of new things coming. Development permits, again, have stayed pretty consistent from 2019 on. We've averaged about the same, but what you're going to see is a large push for C of Os. So this chart is inherently small and hard to read, and it's done that on purpose because there's a lot of stuff happening. But if you can dig in deeper, and we're going to talk about a few of these projects coming up, but it's a good blend of industrial and retail space, which does pay tax dollars. So that's a bigger push as far as residential versus non-residential. These are the non-residential side that do pay property tax and sales tax and generate and jobs and all the other things. So looking at restaurants first. And again, I'm looking back at Mr. Mayor Mitchell. I don't have 30 new restaurants to throw at you, but we do have about 5 that are happening on Main Street right now. Meridian is already open, Taste on Main, Louis Barbecue, Valentine's Tex-Mex Barbecue, and J Park Saloon are all happening downtown on Main Street. So we are revitalizing Main Street with restaurants currently. We all like to say that we have the best restaurants in Austin here, right here in Buda. So from a more retail side, Airstream celebrated its grand opening on October 20th. Phase 1 has 50 employees. Airstream and Explorer USA. So phase 2 will be Explorer USA. They're replacing where Camper Clinic was. At full build, they'll have 75 employees and a $300 million investment. So on the horizon, we have City Subaru, and I know Julie is over here. Subaru is a little bit different just because they have 165 employees with an average salary of $75,000. What you don't see in a lot of car dealerships is the 56 service bays and the jobs and the other things associated to this. And I was hoping that the CTE program would be here with the city, but I'm looking forward to the co-op program that Subaru is planning to do with Hayes CISD with our high school students. More stuff coming. So Rack Fit is on Robert S. Light. So this is a sports facility with 4 indoor tennis courts, 4 outdoor tennis courts, 8 pickleball courts, which I believe are the first pickleball courts in Buda, it's taken the nation on storm right now. But volleyball courts, food trailers, and a whole fitness center. So this is on Robert S. Light. It's 35,000 square feet. It's coming down the pipeline. This one may pique some interest. We have 240. Oh, I got to get there. So on 1626, we have 2 40-plus acre developments. You have one directly across the street from Elm Grove Elementary, which is an office complex. And then just south of that, you have a mixed-use development coming. And these are pre-planning, so these aren't done deals, but they are certainly people kicking tires on 1626. And the city, through some of these CIP programs, we are looking to put some infrastructure on 1626 to encourage the development that the city of Kyle is already doing south of us. But that's 2 projects that are coming to our area. Stream development. So this is a project that's on the west side of 35. It's almost 1 million square feet of industrial space. It's office warehouse. So a lot of conversations, if you look at what's coming and what this area needs, we have been identified as the last mile going into Austin for better or worse. So we do have a lot of industrial space and warehouse spaces, and we're not into the monster big boxes, but we do have Stream, which is about 1 million square feet. And if I go to the next one, we have another one that's about 275,000 square feet that's under construction right now, and that's on the east side of I-35 in the Stonefield area. Also in development, we have 2 multifamily projects. We have Slate in the development of Sunfield, and then Pros on 2001. We've already talked about the fire station. So Hayes ESD number 8 is in the process of building a new, larger central fire station on 2770. And the last one is Midway. So that's right here in Sunfield. That's a 90,000 square foot. This is Midway 2. Midway 1's already here, but Midway 2 is a 90,000 square foot industrial space coming to this area real close to us. A little bit about infrastructure. So we have completed the expansion of our wastewater treatment plant, and we are working with multiple different entities to try to expand our effluent water usage. Something that's really exciting is the ASR well, the Aquifer Storage and Recovery System. So I don't want to try to explain the mechanics to you, but this provides capacity for us to store water for future needs. So in February of last year, when the water stopped coming from out of our city opportunities, when the water stopped flowing and we were allowed to only pump out of the wells that we have on site, we struggled for a while, and we were better off than most other cities in our area. But what this will allow is we can pump water into the ground during the fall and the spring when we don't need it, and then we can pull that water back out of the ground in the summertime when we do, or when we have an event where the water stops coming from our other sources. Just for rationale or relationship here, the Cabela's tower is 1 million gallons. So the big tower sitting at Cabela's is 1 million gallons. This thing has the capacity to hold over 100 million gallons. And there's 12 million gallons of water sitting in it right now. That was just part of our testing process. So that water is available as we need it for resiliency. So the Alliance water system, so what we have looking forward, water is critical here, but in 2007, the city of Buda signed an agreement with Alliance for a shared project that's moving water from the Carrizo Aquifer over in the Gonzales area that will potentially give us water for the next 20 years. That's 1.6 million gallons per day is what this will produce, and it will come online next year. So we do have plans for future water needs in the city of Buda. And that's leading to my next item. And again, I know there's a lot of information up there, but I felt like between the development happened on 967 and this, these are the two most common questions I get. Your water bill, if you live in the city of Buda, your water and wastewater bill together did increase by 15%. So the combined water and wastewater bill together was 15% higher. So the kind of the hard truth to that is that building infrastructure for the future costs real money today. And the Alliance Water project, the ASR well, the wastewater treatment plant were all $15, $20 million, $10 million projects that we have put in place to provide for the city going forward. So that's a big part of why the water and the sewer went up over the last 6 months. So over the last, in 2014, we do have one project still left, one drainage project. And what I have here is that the railroad continues to be difficult, but we hope to get that started very soon. So Rylander Street, I don't know if anyone knows the whole story behind Cabela's and the property that Cabela's sits on, was the Rylander family. And so we recently made a connection from Goforth to Cabela's Drive to provide access from Goforth to Cabela's to get to the interstate so we can head north off of Goforth. So when Cabela's came to town, they made a big change over at the interstate, and that frontage road is was two-way, and now it's one-way. And so everybody from Sequoia and the older areas in downtown Buda had to work their way through Sequoia to get over to Main Street, to get to the light, to get out of town. So this is providing a relief valve to get people off of Main Street forever, basically, and then also leading forward to some bond packages that we have coming up in the future. So Robert S. Light, also known as the truck bypass. And I was looking if Commissioner Jones was here, but Robert S. Light has been a point of conversation since 2015, as far as I know. It's been a long time coming. And it is slated to open early next year. So March of next year, Robert S. Light will open, which will provide another east-west thoroughfare connecting 1626 over to 35. And me and Mark Jones have this friendly wager that he says this will take 70% of the pass-through traffic off of 967. So if you know the city, you know the area, 967 is a disaster in the afternoons and the mornings. And if we can find a way to get some of that traffic off of 967, we're all for it. Again, he says 70%. He's more optimistic than I am, but in our wager, either way, I think I'm getting a chicken fried steak from Chavello's. So, part of our other infrastructure projects, we're working with local landowners and options for putting a 1.5 million gallon elevated tank over on 1626, again, to improve our pressure and to again, improving the resiliency of our system. So FM 2001, phase 1 is open now. Phase 2 will be open next year, but that did significantly improve 2001. Anyone in this area, again, 2001 had a hard S-curve over at Meadows Park, and that was, I believe, the single most accident-riddled intersection that we had in the city of Buda, and I believe that has been improved drastically. A little bit more on the capital improvement projects. We have parks, we have shade structures, we have restrooms. There's a lot of things that we're doing across the city on bond packages or on capital improvement projects in our parks. Micah talked a little bit about this, but in 2021, in November, the citizens passed a bond of almost $90 million. $73 million of that is in mobility projects. So a few things I wanted to highlight on this slide behind me is Old Black Colony Road improvements is a big one. The West Groveforth road construction is another big one that will tie into that Rylander Road, so we're kind of planning ahead. And then Austin Street. Austin Street is one of the parallel streets to Main Street, which potentially, if you're looking at Main Street, you could do Austin Street, do Railroad Street, and you have 3 roads that make up downtown Buda. So we're looking to expand what downtown really is. And it's inherently going to happen, and we're trying to encourage it and do it the right direction. So also part of the bond package was the parks piece. And so our parks part was $16 million. 2 major projects in that is an acquisition. There's a line item for acquisition of an East Side park. So we are diligently looking for property on the east side to create a second large city park for the citizens of Buda. And the other is Garrison Park. So Garrison Park was purchased in 2015-16. It's 35 acres sitting on Onion Creek, and we just started the process of design work on that last night. So those are the 2 big ones. Plus, if you can read through all the lists, there's a lot of trails that we're trying to connect the trail system that we have in Garlic Creek to Whispering Hollow to Cullen Country, all the way to downtown and all the way to Garrison Park. So that's the end goal, is to try to get mobility across town so you can do it on bikes and walking and not have to get in your car to get to downtown. And also part of this deal is we do have a verbal commitment from Hays County for $9.85 million from a bond package they had in 2018 to add to our park system. So that would push this number up over $25 million. It increases what we can do with Garrison. It increases what we can do with the east side. It increases what we can do with the trail system across the board. So recreational entertainment, I'm wrapping this one up here. So over the last year, I've taken the amphitheater for a test drive. We have done a lot. So in February through August, we did all of these events at our city park. And all of these events added hot tax to our city. They brought in visitors for sales tax. They came to our businesses, and all of these, as far as I know, are planning to repeat next year. So this is all happening at our city park last year, or this current year. And then if you look at the next slide, that brings us from August through the end of this year, with the exception I want to talk about a little bit is the Blue Sage Music Festival. That is actually going to be November of 23. So that is a partnership with Coke FM. So if you've ever listened to the radio, Coke FM does a big event in Hutto, and they are doing a similar event for us, with us, in November of next year. And again, all of these things are generating tax dollars and bringing people to our city. It benefits every business here. So we take it for a test run. We have used it as much as we can, and we're very proud to to keep going and do all the things. And I can't stop without saying about coming up. So we've got a full slate. If you listen to council last night, Lamariel Smith will tell you there's a lot of things happening with Beautifest in December, the Trail of Lights, Festival of Trees, Cocoa Jingle. We've got Sip and Stroll on Friday. We are busy, and from here all the way into Christmas. So with that, kind of wrapping up my deal here. I am proud of what we've done. I'm proud of what we've accomplished over the past year. This is only my second State of the City address, but I'm encouraged by what we've done and the group that I work with. And like Micah said, the city staff has done a great job. Our relationship with the EDC, our relationship with the Chamber of Commerce has all improved. The collaboration with Hayes County, with the school district, with Kyle, with Austin, with all of our entities, I am impressed on what we've accomplished over the past year, and I absolutely look forward to seeing what we can do together next year. So with that, I want to say thank you.